Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, either through my website, emailrevealer.com, or email me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Okay, I'm really excited about our show today. We have Arturo Tafoyovsky. Now, you can find him on Twitter, Tafoyovsky, Atafoyovsky. No one's going to remember that. Atafoyovsky. You can find him on his YouTube, which is the Conspiracy Distillery, and also his website, conspiracydistillery.com. You can read about him in the Financial Times, talking about this very subject we're going to be talking about today. He's been doing a lot of research with some peer-reviewed papers involving the investigation into the Qanon phenomenon, who's really behind it, why it's still dangerous, and what they've been up to, other cons and scams and operations that have been going on over this years by this group of global grifters, as he describes them. So, Mr. Arturo Tafoyovsky, are you there?
Yes. Thanks for having me. I'm psyched to be here and ready to go.
Oh, man, thank you so much. Tell the audience about yourself. Who is Arturo Tafoyovsky?
Well, first of all, nice to meet you guys. I'm Arturo from Mexico. I'm your friendly neighbor. And I was throughout 2017 and partially 2018 helping what was a group that was putting out puzzles and conspiracy theories on 4chan, on Twitter, and on different social media. And that's what... that's the last part. But I'm just a normal guy who really got involved in, fall into a rabbit hole that ended up being a radicalization, I don't know if it's program or group. But I've always been a very skeptic person. I'm from Mexico, and here is a very Catholic society, and I've always been against, not always, but at a certain age, I started to rebel against religion. I always have this affinity to computer programming, and design has always been kind of like a hobby. I'm an industrial engineer. Recently, when I came back to my home, to my birthplace, I after this major breakup and this change in my life, I decided to study medicine and did 4 semesters until I just couldn't. You I tried to work and study medicine at the same time, and it was totally not worth it. No, it was worth it, but it was just like I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, it can be brutal, studying medicine. Yeah. Now the thing is, when you mentioned that you were studying these puzzles and stuff, you're talking about the Cicada 3301.
Exactly.
Tell us, what is that?
Well, Cicada 3301 is, and let's call it in the internet lore is it's an internet puzzle, a scavenger hunt, sort of, that started in 2012. Nobody really still knows who started it or why even it was made, but it was aimed at recruiting intelligent people, and it was this series of steps that at the end they promised to recruit you into this group that didn't even explain themselves what they were about. This happened through 2012, 13, 14. Then it started to change, but it's been classified by the Rolling Stones as the number two mystery, biggest mystery of the internet, because nobody had ever figure out who were the people behind, what were the intentions, because there wasn't a marketing intention. The people who allegedly won were never heard of it again. Plus an injection of speculation and conspiracies regarding that the group might be MI6, that the group is a CIA recruitment tool. So that just fed into this event that would later come, but it happened throughout the years. You got on 2015 an alleged hack to Planned Parenthood done by a group calling themselves Cicada 301. The presence there of some of the, and the obvious presence of the members and the mentioning of this group in some way connected to QAnon. People mostly, I think it's easier to recognize QAnon in comparison to Cicada, but if you just look a little bit, it's just 1 or 2 degrees of separation from each other. And and it's for a reason, right? But in general, that's what Cicada about, allegedly a recruiting tool for smart people to that needed to solve a series of puzzles, not only regarding encryption, but you also needed to have understand art and history and all that. But it ended up in it's a really good tract for people who have.
Right. Then explain to us, what is the connection then between Cicada 3301 and then how did that evolve or connect to Q?
Well, I had no, when I got into the group, it was 2017 in October 2017, just when QAnon was going on. As I was a newbie in the group, they didn't have much. I had to earn trust. So I remember I look at different channels that talked about Cicada, like Ed from the Outer Dark, or who was close friends with Tracy Beans back then. And that led me like to this sort of funnel, right? Anyway, the thing about QAnon, the channels that used to talk about Cicada, and that normally also talked about Pizzagate or Pedogate, suddenly started to shift into this QAnon narrative. I was seeing it from the inside, and I saw many things reminiscent from the group, as in, you can see that something is going on, but you can't understand it. And I remember asking another member there, hey, so what's up with this QAnon? Is are we behind it? Are people from the group doing it? And she just made this little laugh, like, I can't tell you. So I was like, okay, then it's on a need to know basis. Then there was a series of events that happened.
Let me stop you for a second. With Pizzagate, right? When that first started hitting the ground, I heard about it through Tracy Twyman, who since passed away. And I did the very first radio show on Pizzagate. And I think it was Reddit. It was being mostly on Reddit back when it was as a subreddit. And they were flipping out. Oh, Ed Opperman, he's got 1 million listeners, and he's talking about Pizzagate. This is all game changer. And then later on, when I first heard about I heard about QAnon the first week, when he made that first post about that Hillary Clinton was about to be arrested in 5 days. Tick-tock, tick-tock, right? But that never came true. And I knew it wasn't going to come true. I knew right away that it was a hoax from that very first post. Why would the very first post be something so ridiculous that you had to know it wasn't going to come true?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that they were. First of all, those claims were being basically echoed from Robert David Steele. Yeah. He was making those claims way before. Like almost that he was going to go to prison, that he's a lesbian, carnivore. Those kind of allegations go way back then. And again, if you want to, we're in terms where reality or truth really doesn't matter. What it matters for them is it's a good story, an engaging story.
Right.
They even some of the leaders of QAnon even mention it as in being as part of a play, as a script, like scene 1 and scene. There have been several posts, and I'm talking specifically about big QAnon pusher that's now banned from Twitter, named Lisa Clapier, a really big important player that I have to bring her name on. She has been infiltrating activist movements since Occupy and before, and she was she is one of the main promoters of not only QAnon, but also the cult of I Am.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
That's also another little nugget that I'm sure that after Flynn's prayer to the 7 rays, many people said, wait, whoa, wait, what? What did he just say? And and I'm talking about
Michael Flynn.
General Michael Flynn. This, I think it was this year, where he was in a Christian congregation and was invited to give a prayer, and he started with this prayer that wasn't Catholic, wasn't Christian, but was occultist, was from the I Am, was invoking the 7 rays of light that comes from Elizabeth Clare Prophet.
Wow.
Church Universal and Triumphant. This caused a commotion even within Christian pundits. The cult of I Am has almost the same characteristics as in QAnon, as in being, they believe that they are Christians and patriots, believe that they that Saint Germain is their high command, like their powerful leader. And you will see within the same group of people that we are talking about today, one of them, most prominent, goes by Saint Germain and has signed contracts as using that name, and has made Sean Stone, who is the son of the Hollywood director Oliver Stone, to acknowledge him as Saint Germain.
Really? And I believe he describes himself as a Luciferian Sean Stone. But by the way, to back up a little bit, Robert David Steele, people can go to my archives. I interviewed Robert David Steele as well. He's some kind of former CIA. I don't know what his role was in the CIA, or was anything significant. And even to say NSA. NSA is like the largest employer in Maryland. They got a parking lot with like 60,000 parking spots. So to be involved in the NSA is not like some prestigious operation. So who knows what these guys were up to. But Robert David Steele also made some claim that there were 100,000 child sex slaves on Mars. So the guy was out there. Very bizarre guy. And I got to tell you, are you familiar with Patrick Berge?
Oh, I know about him and how he connects. He was basically, he claims that he was doing his civic duty by, banging this Russian chick, Maria Butina.
Okay, real quick. I had Patrick Berge on the show too as well, and he talks about meeting with the Overstock.com guy and all these people with the anyway. He has a lot of information too about the Mar-a-Lago top secret documents. But he told me that Michael Flynn's son at one of these meetings attended one of these prior January 6th meetings with 2 transvestite prostitutes as his escorts. So when you tell me that these people are some kind of Christians, I don't know what bizarre thing they got going on.
Yeah.
But this is some group here.
That I didn't know about that, but again, they use Christianity and belief as a weapon, because Michael Flynn he was the top psychological operations general back in Afghanistan.
Right.
He is trained. That's why in an interview with Alex Jones on January 5th in InfoWars, he's talking about how is it possible that January 5th and we still don't have the results. I've been part of bringing down governments or they basically admitting that he, I've been part of psyoping people and we tell them how to do the elections. And this is just one day prior. And, but there's like so many, there's the Nowruz Commission connection to Michael Flynn. So it's just, it's a mistake that I've seen many people make, that they think that just like Michael Flynn, he was promoting Q, and at one point he was talking, and he got into trouble by talking with the Russians about the sanctions. But it's more than that. You know, he wasn't just talking about with the Russians about the sanctions. He was talking about with Russia, with Sergei Kislyak, who is a member of the Nowruz Commission, which is an Iranian like social club that every year does this gala event. The Nowruz is, if I understand correctly, it's like the New Year's Eve of Iran or something. Might be wrong, but it's a gala event where Michael Flynn has been honored guest since it started. And one of their main talks, the CEOs are two people. Bijan Qanon, who was the associate of Michael Flynn and the Flynn intelligence group, who was in charge of doing the transition, who was part of the transition team of Trump, and another guy named Nasser Khamenei. Maybe I'm saying the last name wrong, but he's the CEO of NHK corporate. He has money, and when Flynn disclosed his earnings, and there was an entry of I think just a large amount given by this man to Michael Flynn. Now, why is this man important? Because he was in business. He's the godfather of Thomas Schoenberger's son.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
He was in
real quick. Let me stop you for a second. Real quick. First of all, we got to remember, too, Flynn's involvement with January 6th. It was Flynn's brother, who was also a general, that they had to go through before they can call out the National Guard to come and protect the capitals. And there was a lot of delays there. Tell us, who is Thomas Schoenberger? His name comes up in this over and over and over again. Who is Thomas Schoenberger?
Well, Thomas Schoenberger is an ex-convict, 2 times ex-convict for cyber stalking. He is a man who started as a fake arts dealer. That's how he got to meet lots of interesting people, because he sold, like, he would take like this thing that looked old and would sell it to people that were really into Mozart. Actually, the company that he made a company with this Nasser Khamenei, named Amadeus Investment, and they did a lot of shady things, like create relics out of things that were not, and sell them to really important people like Bruce C. Clark, who was the head of the CIA and who basically was running the Cold War. He was running the CIA during the era of the Cold War. And it was a connection that didn't make sense. First I didn't believe it. But this year I had the opportunity to go to Vienna and went directly to this person who gave them the relics, who is actually a descendant of Mozart's housekeeper or landlord. And the story that we know about of Mozart is because Mozart wrote letters to his landlord saying, "Oh, I'm going to pay, I'm working, blah blah," and he sent them to them. So he comes from that family, and he has an antique repair shop right in front of the Mozart Museum in Vienna. And I had heard that Thomas had burned him with some money and with some real relics. That wasn't really the big thing, but at least Thomas made good publicity of it. Is that when Mozart's house in Vienna was turned into a museum, the boards, the staircases, all was taken out. So the guy who has his shop in front became friends with the engineer, and suddenly he told him, "Hey, if stuff comes out, why don't you just give it to me, and I'll see what I can do with them." And he got pieces of the original floor from Mozart's house, but it's basically like, a piece of floor. And Thomas got a notice of this and got him to send him the piece of board, promised him $30,000, then paid him only half of it, then called him again, asked for another $15,000 because his son allegedly had cancer, which he didn't, and then he disappeared. And there's another case, like in his cicada puzzles, he has promoted for a long time the painting of Salvador Mundi, the lost Leonardo painting. There's a documentary about it. It was a piece of art that was sold for the highest price ever. And Thomas was making a legend out of it since like 6 years ago. And when I started investigating about it, the whole painting thing and how it went up on price, it was all a con.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Like it was... there's a great documentary about it. It's called The Lost Leonardo. And they explain how from something that costed like, I don't know, $5,000 ended up being one of the most expensive pieces of art ever sold, and it was sold to Prince.
Well, Arturo, we're about halfway through the show. We're talking to Arturo Tafoyovsky. You could find him at the Conspiracy Distillery on YouTube and conspiracydistillery.com. So let's not get too caught up in the art, okay? Now, like Thomas Schoenberg's connection to cicada and Q, what is that? I get that the guy's up to some stuff, man. I get the impression. Yeah. The guy's out there.
Yeah, it's too much of a story. Like, it's too long. But,
oh, really? Okay,
just basically, when I got recruited into Cicada, that was the guy who recruited me. That was the guy who I saw that was running the show. Not only by running the show as him, basically being the project manager, because I didn't saw him do much other than Oh, you do this, you do that, let's do this. He introduced me with the other people. He's the one who has, and going back to QAnon, who has by himself admitted that he created QAnon back in 2018. Then he has claimed that it was false, then that it was true. It's a nebulous cycle, but if you can go just straight to the source, Daily Dot articles written by Mike Rothschild.
Right.
And it says, this LARPers claim to have come up with QAnon. And you will see the what Thomas had to say back then. Now, the connection with QAnon, it goes even back. As I said, I don't have evidence, enough evidence to say, Thomas was posting as Q, but I can tell you that. But I do have evidence, and there is even the same people who were part of it have come out and said it. He was behind FBI and on.
Okay, but let me interject real quick. The audience can go back to Spreaker and Google Michael Rothschild, Spreaker, Ed Opperman, and my interview with Michael Rothschild about this very topic will come up there. You can hear what he has to say. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you saying?
Okay. If you want, I can send you the link. Daily Dot, Daily Dot and Cicada 3301, and probably the first.
Okay, we'll send that to me. We'll put it in the description of the article. Now, what about other characters? We hear these stories. So, Tafango. First of all, Schoenberger says he confessed. He made an admission that he was Q. He was posting as Q.
Yes, many times, and at the same time, he has claimed the complete opposite. That's just to obfuscate the truth.
What does Arturo Tafoyovsky think his motive was?
Well, he was paid for it. He was paid for. You could say that he is the literal definition of a cyber mercenary.
Who paid him?
When I met him, he was working with Tanya Cornwell, who is the wife of the lawyer of Devin Nunes.
Oh, really?
Who is the same lawyer for Kash Patel, for this other Russian lady that got into trouble.
Baltimore?
Robert David Steele.
Really?
Yes. Stephen Biss. Super chick, and she was paying. They form a little group, right? Between Tanya, Thomas Schoenberger, and this guy named DeFango.
Now, I'm familiar with the name DeFango from Pizzagate. He appeared out of nowhere. Pizzagate became this sudden Pizzagate expert. And then I saw some of his methodology of gathering evidence on Pizzagate and presenting it to the police. It was ridiculous. So I dismissed him immediately. But tell us who DeFango was.
Yeah. Also, when I met DeFango, I immediately got this wrong, because I know about computer, I actually know programming and all that.
Right.
So when you listen to somebody that knows a little bit about it, knows just enough to fool people to make them think that you're a hacker, that you're this and that, that just ticked me off, and it was one of the things that how can this be the guy who was selected to guide the new revolution because he was given this spear that pierced the side of Christ? By the way, this happened in 2017 in the Cicada puzzle. There was this prize about this alleged spear of destiny that Defengo went and tried to find in the desert.
Right, so there's a claim he found this in real life? That he found a physical spear?
He did found a physical spear, and I mean, the whole puzzle sent you to this desert, but in this cave, according to him, he didn't find anything, but when he later got introduced for the first time with the people in Cicada in a restaurant, and that's where they gave him the spear temporarily.
Fascinating. No, Defengo, did we identify him, who he really is, and what his occupation is, what his background is?
He's a propagandist, a modern disruptor. He's a YouTuber 24/7.
Yeah.
He was inserted in the Seth Rich case. You've also probably seen him in several Q documentaries. Unfortunately, he keeps on saying that he came up with him. He's actually the only person I don't know why he thinks that that's something good, that he claims that he came up with Q.
Now you mentioned to me off there before the show started that this has been going on for 10 years. There's other global grifters, there are other past scams and radicalizations. What can you tell us about other things on the same thread, same people?
Yeah, sure. Well, this is nothing new. You probably heard of Nisara and Gesara.
Yeah.
Which is this whole idea of that goes back to Reagan, and where basically all the problems of the world are going to be saved. There's many variations, but if you go to 2012, 2013, and if you in the first parts of what it was, the alternative media,
right?
Specifically, Doug Hackman or Hackman.
Yeah, right.
Back then in 2012, they had someone called V.
Right.
Right, and that V was an insider who gave them, it was the same, exactly the same thing. They were calling for a civil war, to buy gold, to buy silver.
You want to hear something funny?
And
when I was on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, and I quit that station in 2013, my slot was a very popular slot on Friday nights. They gave my slot to V right after me because it had so much traffic going to that site. Because I was a guest on Coast to Coast with George Noory, and they had the link from George Noory's site to that site, so it got a lot of traffic to the site. Fascinating stuff. Now, what about things like Nibiru and the 2012 Mayan calendar? Were these guys involved in that too?
It was the same group. Yeah,
I knew it.
It's the 2012 scare was part of, going back into this. If you go back to the to the start of Q, you're gonna see people like David Wilcock,
right,
Benjamin Fulford, and a bunch of other people that I call them the Gaia crew, as in the like the Netflix version of yoga or wellness.
Yeah, but all those people were created by Kerry Cassidy from Project Camelot. She was the first one to give them a platform. And I know she's a hoax, man. I caught her red-handed. She's a hoax.
Absolutely, but their idea, their philosophy comes from a person called Barbara Marx Hubbard.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of her?
I have not.
Well, this might interest you. Barbara Max Hubbard once ran for the Democratic vice presidency. She was a very wealthy daughter of a toy maker. She was also a futurist, and she's considered the mother of the conscious evolution movement. Basically, she, upon her philosophies, is that crisis precedes transformation. That when there is a crisis, that's the moment where we evolve. And so, there's a documentary that she made where she explains that in 2012, the movie 2012 was really hype, and everybody was like, what's going to happen? So she got in contact with her PR and started this dissemination campaign within their groups. It was a group that already had YouTubers and they call them agents of change, certified agents of change. And it's people that either throughout different media will are push towards the ideologies of this lady. This lady's so influential. She's in the same level as Deepak Chopra. You know, and one of her main core philosophies, I mean, she was part of the, she was trained by Gorbachev. She was part of, well, not part, but worked with the 21st Battalion, which were the guys who stared goats. I don't know if you've heard of that movie or story.
Yeah, very familiar. As a matter of fact, I dealt with some of those people during the Art Bell feud. And by the way, Robert David Steele, too, he came out of Kerry Cassidy as well. That's where he got his first starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, we got about 10 minutes left, okay? I'm definitely going to beg you to come back. Hopefully we can tape next week a part 2. But what about other characters and all this? You know, because there's so much here, man. And I'd like to get that woman, too. What was her name? Laura Pilley?
Laura Dilley.
Yeah. I'd love to.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, you should definitely give her her paper a read. Is the best that I've seen from QAnon. Not only because it's quantitative data and it's, you know, it's there and it caused so much of a trouble that the actual media arm of Russia went after her, and just for, I think it's important to know, more for you guys, and for Americans, is that a bunch of Russian this paper was going to come out, and let's say, was going to be published. The professor did one day before, she did a live stream where she talked about it. You can find the live stream in my channel. I uploaded and caused this commotion, this scare, that the journal where it was going to be published got stormed by comments, by emails.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
There were shows in RT made specifically to attack that paper, and it was eventually taken down after being peer-reviewed, approved. It was already ready to be published. It was green-lighted, everything. And Russian disinformation agents were able to block and put down American research.
Yeah,
and not only that...
Yeah, RT is Russia Today. And again, Kerry Cassidy, Robert David Steele, all these characters are constantly on Russia Today. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. As I said, it's the same network. But like those old guys, Jim Fetzer, Robert David Steele,
Jim Fetzer,
Ray McGovern, and all those keep bringing new people. Like they grab on crazy beings and put them under their wing, and I'm going to introduce you to this and to that and to this and to that. And they're just doing what they always have as almost as a mantra, is having plausible deniability.
Right, and Jim Fetzer, you were mentioning, I had him on the show too, and we were talking about a whole other topic, and he maneuvered me in this way. I was young and I was inexperienced on an internet radio station, and they maneuvered me. Mm-hmm. I had a producer I didn't really know who was controlling the board, and at the end of the show, Jim Fetzer started screaming all this crazy stuff into the mic, and I had no way of stopping him. I couldn't hang up on him, I couldn't mute him, I couldn't do a damn thing, and that was the last time I ever let that happen. Now, Arturo Tafoyovsky. There's a bunch of other names in all this, and we have to cover this in like the next 5 minutes. But we're going to have you back, okay? But names like Colonel Michael Aquino and that Paul Vallely, who co-wrote Mind War, a psychological operations handbook for the U.S. military. Colonel Aquino is the head of the Temple of Set, a satanic cult. Okay, a very secretive satanic cult. But also, too, what about that HBO documentary that brought in all those guys like Watkins and Code Monkey and all those characters?
Is the HBO documentary Q Into the Storm?
Right.
They go into a different path. They do, and episode 5, I think that it's the most worthy to watch. But in general, he did a good job. But he was led to believe into that it was Ron Watkins, and that unfortunately time has proven that Ron Watkins is not Q. We all saw how he did on politics. He didn't got any support, not even from his own party members. On the contrary, he just made a fool of himself. He doesn't have the personality, the drive, or even the ideology. So, yeah, it's worth watching. Definitely, if you have a chance, and during this week, listen to the American PSYOP podcast, which is a narration from Wes Clark Jr., who is the son of Wes Clark, who was once the head of NATO, who was also targeted and by the same cult that I'm trying to expose, that target me, that is part of the same group, but he actually was drove into the point where he believed that he was the angel Metatron.
Wow, that's Wesley Clark.
Okay, and
Wesley Clark's son.
Yes,
wow.
Wes Clark Jr. He was surrounded by the same people that surrounded me, and he ended up leading like thousands of veterans into Standing Rock, who was another propaganda event that was just a stunt, but he was there believing that he was sent by God and he was Metatron, and he tells this incredible story of how he was targeted, partially because he was the son of the head of NATO.
Yeah.
And this so it's an amazing story, and it's really important because it builds a structure which is going to be easier for people later to understand the group of people that I'm talking about, the group of people that we're trying to expose, and the reach that they have. You know, it's been 5 years. Only until recently I've been able to do it more and more professionally, but I would never imagine that it would have taken so long to expose something that I can say that I was there. I saw it. Nobody told me. I was recruited almost at the same time when Q started. And unfortunately, as it started, and I was a new guy, I didn't understand many of the things that were happening. But I made this past years my task to really understand it, and once you see like those little pieces of evidence, like if you look into Barbara Max Hubbard, it's something amazing. It's amazing because it's the same kind of beliefs that Steve Bannon has. You know, about this combination between Kundalini and Catholicism and all that.
Yeah, Kerry Castle talks about Kundalini all the time. And it's all this goes back to the guy who ran Revolution Radio, this guy Mike Ringley, was some kind of FBI informant himself. Very strange guy with, again, computer tech skills, called himself a hacker and all this kind of stuff. He's passed away now, supposedly. Who knows? But we've been talking to Arturo Tafoyovsky. Now, I want you to check him out on his website, conspiracydistillery.com, and also his YouTube channel, Conspiracy Distillery. And then you could find his Twitter. He's a friend of mine on Twitter. It's ATAFOYOUOVSKY. I've done it wrong every single time. No one's going to find you on Twitter, bro. I apologize for that. They're never going to find you on Twitter.
We're going to have to change it, definitely. But yeah, if they follow you, it's relatively easy to just a password, something that's going to show up.
Right. And I promise you, I'll tag him when I put this show up on Twitter and stuff like that. I recommend people do watch that HBO documentary, the Q or Storm Coming, the Coming Storm, whatever it's called. It's just as a soap opera. It's fascinating to watch. You're not going to be able to put it down. But like he says, the 4th episode, you said, or the 5th episode was most important? Fifth.
Actually, yeah, the 5th episode used footage that I did for the cicada puzzle. Funny thing, without my permission, I got in a fight with the crew. So now we're good friends, but imagine seeing your footage on HBO and nobody asked you. Tell
me about it. It happens to me all the time. And they mentioned me on Morning Joe. They mentioned me on Rush Limbaugh. I get no credit. By the way, Morning Joe was about the Steve Bannon porn and meth house, which I was all over way at the beginning. Oh, that's a great story. I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was now. So I guess we'll just have to move on. Oh, yeah. I'd like to have you back right away, man. Like maybe we can get together Friday. So let's touch base on Twitter. Yeah. And we'll flesh this out a little further, and then we'll get into all this stuff, Watkins, Code Monkey, all these characters that surround this whole crazy story. I tell you, I think Mr. Arturo Tafoyovsky, I think you're onto something here. Everything you're saying makes sense to me, and I have a lot of personal experience with a lot of these characters, and they're all very suspicious. And there's these other YouTube creations and these other characters that come out of nowhere. Suddenly they got 300,000 followers. They got books coming out. Books quoting my show. I get no credit on that night either. But all this kind of stuff going on. People really got to keep, because it hasn't stopped. Like you said in the notes, the pre-interview notes, this is still going on today. These people are running these operations. Arturo Tafoyovsky, the Conspiracy Distillery, conspiracydistillery.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, man. Ben, great talking to you. Have a great day.
Good night, sir.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.